Alrighty, so I restarted Unity, and actually it's working now. Like, I can name things and all that stuff, so I don't know what's going on. Anywho, so what I want to do now is actually add the part where we're going to shoot or actually damage the enemy. So inside of this thing where we say, okay, did we hit something? What I'm going to do is after we hit something, I'm going to say, okay, I want to take the enemy controller script, that variable we made up here that's going to hold the enemy controller script, and we're going to go ahead and give it the value of hit.transform.getComponent, and the component I want to get is going to be the enemy controller script, like that. Why do I don't know how I'm doing that. Okay, enemy controller script, like that. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to test whether this actually worked. So we're going to do if the enemy controller script is not equal to null, meaning that there is something in it. The way that this is going to work basically is we're going to say, okay, this enemy controller script is currently empty. We're going to say, okay, fill it with the component of the object we hit. So if the object we hit doesn't have this component, this will remain empty. If it does have that component, this will actually have it. So we say if it's not empty, which means that we did hit an enemy, then we can actually go ahead and apply what we want. So we're going to do hit.transform. We're going to go ahead and apply dot game object, lowercase g, game object, dot get component. The component we want to get is rigid body. Is it a capital B? No, it's not. Capital rigid body. Oops, like this. And then we're going to go ahead and we are going to add a force. Add force at position is the dot add force at position. And we're going to add it at position, and we're going to tell the position and what have you. So we're going to say shoot ray dot the direction that we shot it in, times the knockback amount. So remember we did that knockback AMT, and then the point at which we hit it. Hit.point. So that's just going to add the actual knockback. That's not going to do any damage itself. And then what we want to do is actually apply the damage. So we're going to do enemy controller script dot enemy health adjustment, and then we're going to send it minus this amount here. So with damage amount, this right here. I'm just going to copy it, Control C. Boop, and Control V, and that will basically remove that. We'll run that script and we'll send it a negative amount of what that is. So we'll save this, hope for no errors. Okay. Wait for it. Okay. Now, this actually isn't going to work because the enemy currently doesn't have a rigid body. So when you go to hit, it's going to be like, there's no rigid body. So we need to add the rigid body. So let's go to physics and then just do a rigid body. So it has one. That'll be helpful. Let's see. Let's go here. Everything's filled in, right? Okay. I think that should work. So let's go ahead and play it. And, I should select the enemy. Whoops. Oh, well. I'm going to stop it real quick because I want to make sure that's it. So I'm going to select the enemy. All right, and I just want to keep track of the enemy health, which is 10. Just want to make sure that when I hit him, it does, in fact, actually take away his health. Where are you? There you are. Boop. Oh, dang it. Well, definitely the knockback's working. Might have to adjust the numbers. There you go. And he died. So I know it worked because he disappeared. So that is actually officially working. So that is taking away the health. And that is all good. I think I might have made an extra. Let me see. Not you. I thought there was something extra in here that I didn't end up even using. I don't know. See it now. I thought there was something in there, but oh well. Okay. So that looks good. I think that's everything I needed inside of this here. So now what I want to do is actually just add a way of spawning the enemy itself, so that right now we just have one enemy, and that's it. I'm going to go to my prefabs, or just called, I'm just going to change the name here to prefabs, like it was supposed to be. And I'm going to go in here, and we have this particle system. I'm just going to go ahead and just call this, we'll call it shop particles, okay? Which, oh, it didn't actually, let's go like that. Let's go to enemy, or not enemy, let's go first person controller still. And, okay, still says shop particle, it's good. All right, so that looks fine. What I want to do is actually take my enemy and make it a prefab, my enemy, and I'm just going to drag them down into here. Great. That looks good, and I'm just going to delete it here. We're going to make a new object, create empty, and we'll just call this the game. Actually, let's call it enemy spawn point. Okay, so there it is right there. That's great, and we're going to make a script for it. So I'm going to go over here, go to scripts, and we're going to create C# script, and we're going to call it the enemy spawn script. Enemy spawn script, and we'll open it up once it's done. And this should be relatively easy. Easy breezy. So what we're going to do is we're going to have an object that we more or less are able to, let's go ahead, and we don't need any of this. I'm just going to keep the update I'm going to need. We're going to have an object that's just going to spawn our enemy every so often. So first we need to have the public game object so that it knows, and we'll call it enemy, so that we can put in the object that we want to do the spawning from. And then we'll do a public float, and we'll call it spawn rate, so that we, how often we want to spawn. And then we'll do a private float, and that'll be next spawn time. Next spawn time. Okay, and that's just so that we can keep track of how often it needs to spawn. And then inside of here, all we're going to do is we're going to do if time.time is greater than the next spawn time. We're going to tell it to spawn. First, what we'll do is we'll actually set up the next spawn time. Next spawn time will be equal to time.time plus the spawn rate. Okay, so we'll just reset that every time, and then we'll just go ahead and we will instantiate. So that will create, and we're going to create the enemy is the thing we want to instantiate. And then we're going to do transform dot position. So we're going to use the position of whatever this script is attached to, which will be that spawn object. And then we'll just do, for the rotation, quaternion, I think it's like that, dot identity. And that's it. That's we'll do our spawning. It's pretty simple. And let's go back here and make sure there's no obvious errors. Okay, and it says quaternion. I spelled it wrong somehow. Hang on a second. How are you supposed to spell it? Quaternion. I thought I spelled it right. I think I put an extra R in there. Hang on a second. Yeah, there's no, it's quaternion, not quaternion. My bad. Let's double check. So quaternion is actually just another way of processing rotations. But normally, like when we're in 3D, we're using Euler rotations. Quaternion is just like it doesn't have gimbal lock issues, but it's not as easy to understand like visually, so that's why we don't use it for things. Okay, so we got this enemy spawn point. I'm going to take the enemy spawn script. I'm going to drop it on there. It's right here. We're going to set the spawn rate. Let's say we spawn every 2 seconds, which is way too much, but we're just going to do that. And then for the enemy, I'm just going to go ahead and go to my prefabs, back on this, and we're going to put the enemy, I'm going to drag it up to there, okay? And let's, I don't know, put this here, I guess, is that? Yeah. And we should be able to see them constantly spawning from this spot here. Like every 2 seconds anyway. Okay. Where is it? Okay. So if you look, you can see it's spawning every 2 seconds. Oops, and it went over there. And so now I can go through and shoot and get these guys. Get out of here! Get out of here! Okay, and basically it'll just be a survival of, you know, how long you can survive. We should probably make something at some point that will keep track of how many people we've killed and, you know, UI and that sort of thing. But we have the base mechanics now of what the game is. We can, you know, run around, we can shoot, things can kill us. We have those things going. We just need a way of visually, you know, starting the game, ending the game, that sort of thing. But more or less, that's all working. So hopefully it's a little bit quicker of a video. But we have all the elements now that we need, and we have the basic game going. So, yay. Yeah, just go ahead, make sure you save it, and we should be ready to go for the next one.